an extremely special character, one we often mention daily but without much significance. His name is Cao Cao. Not everyone knows that Cao Cao was an outstanding politician in history, living in the 3rd century. He was the founder of the Wei, the most powerful kingdom during the turbulent Three Kingdoms period. His life has countless stories passed down, considered to be 7 parts truth, 3 parts fiction. Moreover, the secret of the tomb of someone considered to have many enemies during his lifetime has also existed for thousands of years. In 2009, in Anyang, China, local archaeologists announced they had found what is believed to be Cao Cao's tomb. This was an extremely important discovery for the field of archaeology. So how was this 1,000-year-old tomb discovered? What more does it reveal about Cao Cao? And are there many secrets of this character still buried under the 1,000-year-old grave mound? The 1,000-year secret of Cao Cao. With your support for Vu Trung Nguyen Thuy and Dang KY Gun to produce more quality videos, I will begin the main content of the video. Previously, the secret of Cao Cao's tomb was passed down through various stories. But the most famous is still the story about Cao Cao. And all of you can support us for a long time. So you already know that stories about Cao Cao have been discovered many times. But the most famous is still the story of the 72 fake tombs. Legend has it that on the burial day, all city gates of Yi were opened. 72 coffins, both real and fake, were carried out of the city simultaneously from 4 directions. For thousands of years, many people wanted to excavate Cao Cao's tomb, but no one found the real one. Emperors of every dynasty in China highly valued their tombs after death. Some even selected locations and built their tombs immediately upon ascending the throne. However, Cao Cao was a completely different case. An outstanding figure, with status and power no less than an emperor, yet had an extremely simple burial wish. Before his death, Cao Cao left a clear will. His funeral had to be simple, buried in barren land, no tombstone, no trees planted, and no jade, jewelry, or valuable artifacts inside. His handling of the funeral aroused the curiosity of many scientists and historians because they couldn't understand why he requested a simple burial. Some believe that although Cao Cao was a cunning hero with high status, he was actually very frugal. He had strict demands on others and himself, so even in death, he had to be economical. Some argue that Cao Cao excavated many tombs of previous emperors to fund his army. He witnessed many tombs being destroyed and didn't want to suffer the same fate. Others think that Cao Cao was inherently suspicious and had many enemies during his lifetime. To prevent revenge and grave desecration out of anger, he decided on a simple burial to minimize attention. In reality, there was no such thing as Cao Cao preparing 72 fake tombs for himself while alive. That was just rumors spread by later generations. At the time of his funeral, many people attended, and they all knew the exact location of the tomb. However, after circumstances changed, Cao Cao's tomb area was devastated by war. Those who truly knew the exact location had also passed away. By the Southern Song dynasty, the legend of the 72 fake tombs emerged and persisted until Cao Cao's real tomb was found. The discovery of Cao Cao's tomb was actually a coincidence. It all started in the spring of 2006. On Chinese New Year's Eve, every family was busy preparing for the new year. Then residents of Zigaoshui village in Anfeng, Henan province, China, heard a strange explosion. Every year, when the Lunar New Year hadn't ended, people here, like many other areas of Vietnam, began their first work of the new crop season. Xu Chuan, a resident of Zigaoshui village, discovered something very strange while channeling water into his field. The small field that usually filled with water quickly this time took 2 full days and still wasn't filled. The water channeled in would reach a certain level in the field and then get blocked, not spreading to other directions. He went deep into the field to inspect and discovered a hole about 10 meters deep. Seeing such a large and deep hole, Xu Wanchao recalled a strange explosion sound on New Year's Eve. Feeling this wasn't a simple matter, he immediately reported the incident to the local authorities. Local leaders quickly followed Xu Wanchao to the scene but found nothing unusual. So the people filled the hole to continue farming. Just 2 to 3 days later, people discovered the newly filled hole had returned to its original deep state. Local leaders were also very puzzled, and this information reached archaeologists researching ancient structures. 2 days later, the archaeological team arrived, and the team leader decided to descend into the hole for investigation. When they reached the bottom, they realized it wasn't the actual bottom. The archaeological team leader was standing on a layer of soft soil, causing his foot to sink into a deep. He quickly turned on his flashlight and was utterly amazed to find himself in the middle of a large ancient tomb. To the right of the tomb was an arched entrance. Fortunately, it wasn't completely sealed but had a gap wide enough for observation. Continuing to shine the flashlight through the door gap, the team leader saw it was there. He crawled through that narrow and long doorway and discovered an even more unbelievable scene. This was an entire massive underground mausoleum. After returning with valuable collected information, people began questioning whether this was the tomb of Cao Cao, which has been mentioned with mystery for thousands of years. It wasn't without reason that people suspected this. In 1998, on this land, a resident discovered fragments of a tombstone belonging to someone named Lu Qian while excavating soil for brick production. It contained information indicating that Cao Cao's tomb was located right on this land. From the tombstone information, we know that Lu Qian was once a third-rank official during the later Zhou dynasty. The most important part that everyone cared about was at the end of the seal. This section of information clearly described that from the west of Galway Bridge, going west 1420 steps. Then turning south 170 steps would lead to the mausoleum of Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu of Wei here is none other than Cao Cao. In fact, the location of Cao Cao's tomb was recorded early in Chinese history. While alive, Cao Cao left 2 important documents, the Zhongling and the In 220, more than a year after establishing the Zhongling, he passed away and left the Yiling. After Cao Cao's death, he was buried in the Zhenbao Temple, with no paintings on the tomb walls. No elaborate carvings, and buried without gold, silver. Additionally, Cao Cao ordered his descendants to bury him west of the Bronze Sparrow platform. But today we no longer know the location of the Bronze Sparrow platform. Zhenbao Temple is indeed located near where the tomb was discovered today. But is it the landmark that Cao Cao mentioned? Archaeologists are generally still searching for evidence to prove this. Through reading and studying many historical records documented, only the information on Lu Qian's tombstone is the most reliable and valuable. It is the most accurate found record to date regarding the location of Cao Cao's tomb. After reaching the final conclusion, the most reasonable hypothesis about the New Year's Eve explosion also had an explanation. It was caused by a group of tomb raiders using explosives to open a path inside. After information about the tomb was widely announced, the theft of artifacts became increasingly difficult to control. Although the authorities dispatched a patrol team that regularly because it was a remote area with very few people passing by, the thieves still found opportunities to act. It wasn't until Chinese police forces directly intervened that this situation ended and the security of the ancient tomb area was ensured. And surprisingly, the presence of the police force brought an unexpected breakthrough. During one patrol, the police caught a tomb raiding group of 11 individuals. After interrogation and taking statements, they recovered a Han Dynasty stone seal with carved drawings. The stone carving depicted very exquisite human figures. Perhaps due to its massive size, making it difficult to transport easily, the thieves had divided it into. After experts appraised the carving, they stated it dates back to the Eastern Han Island, and they also agreed that this is the age of the tomb. With the sophistication of the painting, we also know that the tomb's owner held a very high position in the court. At this point, a greater concern arose from the theft. That is, no one knows from which part of the tomb the thieves took the stone painting. If they took the painting from the wall inside the tomb, the entire structure of the building would be severely affected. Just during the rainy season, water seeping in could cause the entire structure to collapse. Therefore, the excavation of the tomb must proceed quickly and more carefully before it's too late. The excavation was eagerly anticipated, as people were also curious about the secrets still hidden in the tomb. On December 12, 2008, not New Year's Eve, the Xiao Shui village was once again filled with the sound of firecrackers. It was the sound of firecrackers celebrating the start of the excavation of the ancient. Before the excavation, the archaeological team thoroughly surveyed the structure of the building to avoid unfortunate incidents. The survey showed it was up to 15 meters deep, with a tunnel below 10 meters wide, built in typical Eastern Han architecture. Two plans were proposed for the tomb's excavation. The first was to excavate from top to bottom, allowing a view of the entire structure. The second plan was to excavate from outside to inside, following the tomb's entrance path inward. Clearly, the tomb was well preserved, and its scale was also difficult to estimate. Therefore, the plan to excavate from outside to inside was more feasible and reasonable. This plan also maximized the conditions to keep the tomb intact for future tourism needs. After months of excavation, the tomb's shape became increasingly clear. It was oriented from west to east, with the tomb passage sloping downward from the top. The walls on both sides of the tomb passage were built with high steps, narrowing further inside. Additionally, 3 more sets of skeletons were discovered during the excavation. Examination showed one set was a man aged over 60, height between 1.50. The other 2 sets were both women aged from 20 to over 40. This tomb had been robbed before, and the skull of the man identified as Cao Cao showed traces of an axe blow. Research on Cao Cao's bones revealed that his tooth decay was particularly severe. Combined with historical records, it showed Cao Cao suffered from severe toothache. It was speculated that the cause might be tooth. Studying documents and analyzing the ancient tomb, archaeologists confirmed it completely matched historical accounts of Cao Cao's tomb. Although there was great confidence that Cao Cao was the owner of this tomb, but concrete evidence had not yet been found. Who is the true owner of the tomb? This question always haunted the archaeological team. At this point, an idea was proposed to find the tomb owner's identity. That was DNA testing. The opinion to analyze DNA from findings in the tomb to determine identity was strongly supported. But it led to another question. What to compare the DNA results with? And that question once again led everyone to a dead end. Some suddenly remembered the tomb discovered in Shandong in 1951 of Cao Ji, one of Cao Cao's sons, with complete remains. This was the comparison standard. Like shocking news released, Cao Ji's remains had been lost during a storage cleanup. There was nothing left to compare with the remains of Xiao Shui. TB used because, as China, the weather conditions of the Xiao Shui ancient tomb made DNA testing nearly impossible. Even if descendants of Cao Cao were found, nothing could prove the remains of Xiao Shui were Cao Cao. This announcement almost closed the idea of using modern DNA technology for proof. But then, after many efforts, the answer came in an unexpected way. With the progress accelerating, what everyone was waiting for also appeared. During the excavation, an archaeological team member suddenly discovered a strange pit opening. Initially, it was only the size of a bull's mouth, but as sand slowly collapsed, it widened. The sand collapsed until the hole was just large enough for a person to crawl down, and everyone sat back. The scene that appeared before their eyes left everyone speechless with a sigh. It was the passage leading to the main entrance of the ancient tomb's. The most regrettable thing is that the main door of the tomb had been opened by thieves before archaeologists discovered. The main material used to build the tomb door was Han Dynasty bricks, originally about 1.2 meters high but now only about 1 meter remains. And then what had to happen did happen. People found this inside the tomb chamber. A member of the archaeological team discovered a stone tablet inside the tomb chamber. After brushing off the dust on the surface, he could read the inscription. King Wu of Wei. King Wu of Wei, we have finally found you. In history, there were several other figures also called King Wu of Wei. However, the King Wu of Wei on this stone tablet evidently refers to Cao Cao. Why were they so certain in their assertion? We must return to the tomb of Lu Xie. Clearly we were previously talking about the character Emperor Wu of Wei, but here is King Wu of Wei. Could it be that Cao Cao had two different titles in history? About 10 months after Cao Cao's death, Cao Pi ascended the throne to succeed his great father. At this time, he used the title Emperor Wu of Wei to record and refer to his father. Therefore, Cao Cao's name was later preserved as Emperor Wu of Wei. So what about King Wu of Wei? This title was used for Cao Cao from the time of his death until before Cao Pi ascended. The tomb that was discovered and excavated was actually built by Cao Pi before he ascended the throne. That's why the stone tablet was inscribed with the name King Wu. This detail is completely accurate and consistent with the historical context recorded in national documents. This tomb dates more than 200 years later than Cao Cao. Therefore, using the name Emperor Wu of Wei to refer to Cao Cao is appropriate. It seems that by this point, the ancient tomb at Zidaoshui had been recognized as Cao Cao's tomb. During subsequent excavations, the archaeological team continuously found historically valuable have great material value, but were sufficient to confirm that the tomb. However, the most fascinating and curious relic found in Cao Cao's tomb was the tomb of Cao Pi. However, the most fascinating and curious relic found in Cao Pi's tomb. This weapon had been lost for thousands of years, and when it was found in Cao Cao's tomb, experts hid and saw marveling, considering it a true treasure. A jian is a weapon that looks like a spear but shorter, typically used in pairs. Unlike spears, which are melee weapons, a pair of jian are short weapons that can be thrown over distance, with functions similar to the javelins used in ancient Europe. The jian is an extremely effective and dangerous weapon. When thrown, it can easily penetrate armor or shields and injure opponents. This weapon was very advantageous in battle. However, the weakness of jian is that they are very heavy. If not used by someone tall, it would be difficult to use them flexibly. Moreover, jian are single-use weapons. Once thrown or launched, they are essentially lost. So the production cost of this weapon was very. These factors caused jian to gradually become less common. Later, as bows and arrows were increasingly improved, they gradually completely replaced jian, causing this weapon to disappear from military. However, thanks to the excavation of the tomb believed to belong to the jian, a weapon lost for thousands of years, once again appeared before later generations. In late December 2009, the excavation work concluded successfully. But that wasn't all the secrets we found. In the chaotic social context of the Eastern Han Dynasty, Cao Cao had a merit of unifying. From then on, people across a vast area gained stability and began production. Society thus became prosperous. This tomb clearly reflects this outstanding politician. On the stone paintings recovered from the thieves, besides expressing Confucian culture of loyalty and filial piety, there was also the A large number of other stone paintings were also found in the tomb with extremely diverse. They depict various activities from production and labor to entertainment, culture, and arts of the people. The carvings are extremely meticulous in the romantic, free-spirited styles of the Eastern Han period. After researching and assembling the fragments, the archaeological team uncovered another important historical detail through the carvings in the painting. One fragment depicts a dragon image, and in the Western Han, only tombs of the highest-ranking nobles were permitted to have dragon paintings. What you are seeing here is a painting of the Wuju coin. Additionally, the archaeological team excavated 3 more Wuju coins, providing further information to help deter. The Wuju coin can be considered a typical artifact of the era. Although both Eastern and Western Han used Wuju coins, they still have certain differences. And the stone paintings in the tomb village also particularly feature horses, animals of great importance in military and social life at that time. The findings allow us to gain a clearer insight into Cao Cao's life during that period. In the corridor, the archaeological team members excavated a large number of porcelain artifacts. Most of them are daily utensils with rough surfaces, characteristic of the typical Eastern Han style. These relics are not actual used items but imitations of everyday objects buried with the deceased. But do you wonder why the burial objects for Cao Cao, a man of immense power at the time, are so simple? We might partly understand this by reviewing what Cao Ji later wrote about his father. He wrote that Cao Cao was always strict and frequently reminded his children to conduct burials simply. Perhaps that's why the items buried with him are simple and unremarkable. When it was discovered to be Cao Cao's tomb, it suddenly became something extremely strange in the eyes. A year earlier, people here were still farming on this land, but now it has become a globally sought-after site. Although the National Cultural Heritage Administration confirmed the tomb in Zigaoshuan village, Anyang, Henan, is Cao Cao's tomb, to this day, there are still many controversial opinions claiming insufficient evidence for the above conclusion. To support their stance, they present 8 counter-arguments based on findings in the tomb. First, some scholars argue that Henan Cultural Heritage Bureau's identification basis is insufficient. The vice president of Renmin University of China, an expert in Northern and Southern Dynasties literature, those pieces of evidence are not first-hand. They were obtained through others, like the epitaph of Lu Qian or the stone paintings recovered from thieves. The archaeological team did not find any artifacts themselves, which is not convincing enough. But perhaps many will quickly refute this. King Wu of Wei. King Wu of Wei. King Wu of Wei. S funeral, presided over by Cao Pi, who was then the king of Wei, would not logically refer to his father as King Wu. Therefore, they speculate that this tomb is not Cao Cao's. Regarding this point of rebuttal, we have already addressed it in the previous part. S dating, and that date aligns with Cao Cao. Third, at this excavation site, no remains of Cao Cao's wife, Empress Bian, who lived to 70, were found. S mother, and it. Empress Bian married Cao Cao when she was just over 20, was Cao Pi's mother, and Cao Pi only lived to 40. At that time, Empress Bian was over 60, passed away in the 4th year of Pei at age 70, and was buried with S burial and noted suspicious details in opening the tomb to bury the Empress together with Cao Cao. However, when Henan excavated the tomb in Zigaoshuan village, no coffin was found, leading to doubts that this is not Cao Cao's tomb. Book of Zhen. This part can be easily explained. The golden seal is an extremely valuable artifact, highly priced economically, compact, and easy to transport. It's likely tomb raiders took it before the archaeological team excavated. Records of the Three Kingdoms. But the tomb lacks these important items. It's also possible that a person like Cao Cao, who always wanted to simplify burial customs, wished to leave those valuable items to his descendants. Records of the Three Kingdoms. Moreover, he was permitted by the Han Emperor to wear a sword in court, showing it was something he commonly used. But no sword was found in the tomb, especially the one he always carried with him. Finally, a famous literary commentator and editor-in-chief of a people's literary... I believe this is a fake tomb, unless they want to exploit Cao Cao to boost the local economy. A reporter from Xinhua Focus on January 6, 2010 even revealed behind-the-scenes information. If recognized as Cao Cao's tomb, the Henan Cultural Bureau would receive over 400 million RMB to build the Cao Cao Tomb Heritage Site, a place very attractive to domestic and foreign. S announcement of finding Cao Cao. That is probably the most attention-grabbing and suspicious argument, because under the power of money, anything can happen. A major and special heritage site like Cao Cao's tomb would certainly bring fame and fortune to the locality. Often, it also plays an important role in promoting the country's image worldwide. Real tomb, public skepticism persists, with some still unbelieving and continuing to search for Cao Cao. After archaeologists found the remains of the famous Cao Cao, Chinese public opinion immediately shifted to the thousand-year mystery of where his two political rivals were buried. They are none other than Liu Bei and Sun Quan. The trio of Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan together depict their influence in China from over 1,800 years ago. Today, the Cao, Liu, and Sun families still make up a large portion of household names in mainland China and overseas, thanks to the prominent role the trio played in history. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Today, when Cao Cao's tomb is claimed to have been found, if the purpose was to fake a heritage site for money, logically they should have excavated the tombs. Therefore, the final counter-argument is not entirely convincing and only raises a bit of suspicion in the community. Cao Cao's legacy has always been a topic of endless controversy for nearly two. Cao Cao was an ambitious politician. He used his strategic prowess to gradually take control of regions in ancient northern China, incorporating into the territory of Wei were states that were not the strongest at that time. However, in cultural works, Cao Cao is often portrayed as a cunning schemer who kills without mercy. Cao Cao served as prime minister to the last emperor of the Han dynasty. Though a subject, Cao Cao monopolized power, turning the emperor into a puppet for him. In Beijing opera, the character Cao Cao is often depicted with a white face symbolizing a treacherous and cunning person. The discovery of Cao Cao's tomb has helped people gain a more accurate view of the immense heritage he left behind. Some even broadened their perspective on one of the most influential figures in the course of history. Do you think we have found the real tomb of Cao Cao? Hopefully, this discovery will help us gradually answer many long-standing questions. Thank you very much for your attention and support in this video. And now, for the next episode, goodbye and see you in the upcoming videos. Wishing you all a good day.